For runes, there's two setups that you can take. The first one is PTA, where I go PTA, Triumph, Legend Haste, Last Stand, and with Resolve, Second Wind, and Overgrowth. But you can also take Unflinching, you can also take Bone Plating instead of Second Wind, you can also take Demolish, which I will get into in a second. You can also take Revitalize, but Revitalize is best with Fleet, which I will also get into a second. Most of the times against good matchups, easier, minor, you want to take Overgrowth and Second Wind, but you can swap between Unflinching depending if there's a lot of CC or not. For shards, you can take Ability Haste, but if you feel like you don't need it, you can take Attack Speed, which is good to farm the caster minions earlier in the game. You can also take Movement Speed, although that most Movement Speed items already give Nasus a really good chunk of movement, especially if you take Swifties, for example. So I personally take Health Scaling, but you can take Movement Speed as well. It's personal preference here. And there's usually at least a Leona or a Rel or some heavy CC champion, at least one in the team. So I'm 99% of the times taking Tenacity Shard, but you can also take Health Scaling. Helps you out, especially if you're doing like Frozen Art, for example, later on, which you will really depend on some health that Frozen Art doesn't give you. So it can be good to take health scaling, but I personally do this setup right here most of the times. This is what I've been taking now, and it seems to be good for PTA. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say major matchups, minor matchups, please take a look at the guide itself. If you scroll down here, you don't have to read what is in here, but you can just look at what matchups are extreme, major, even, minor, and tiny. If you're an experienced Nasus player, you can take, even against major matchups, you can take PTA. But if you're still learning Nasus mid and it's really new for you, even though you're experienced Nasus top lane, for sure take Fleet against extreme, major, and even matchups, and only take PTA against minor and tiny matchups. But if you already know Nasus mid and you're comfortable with it, for sure take PTA against these three categories. This is my Fleet setup. I most of the times take Fleet Footwork, Triumph again, but you can take Absorb Life here, which helps you with a bit extra healing, or Presence of Mind. But personally, I have a bias towards Triumph because there's way many fights that I've survived with Triumph, so for sure take Triumph if you feel the same way. Legend Haste is a must. The other rooms are shitty. Last Stand or Cut Down if you want. Personal preference. I also always take Last Stand. For Resolve, you can take Revitalize to stack up the healing. If you take Absorb Life, for example, this is a way to maximize your healing. You have a Doran Shield, a Health Potion, a Revitalize, a Second Wind, a Fleet, and Absorb Life. The healing that you get is insane. Also, if you do like a bead in the earlier game, if you're doing like, for example, Spectre Scowl, and you want to do a bead early because you have like a Fed Mage in the mid lane, or if you already died once or twice to him, this is really good healing that you get. So you can do this combination. But the combination that I recommend is for sure Second Wind and Demolish if you're taking TP, which I will get into a second, and or most of the time Second Wind, Overgrowth. This is the ideal setup here for Fleet. If you have a CC, again, Tenacity Shard, but for this one, you would probably need a health more to survive, because that's the main goal with Nasus against the harder matchups, is to survive for as long as possible and not give them any kills to your mid laner. So for sure this is the ideal setup here, but you can mess around, take Revitalize for example. Keep in mind that Revitalize gives you a little bit of fake numbers. It still heals you and counts towards the rune stats even if you're full HP. So it might not look as good as it looks on paper, so keep that in mind. Even though it's still good, especially if you have like a Nami or a Milio or a Yumi on your team that helps with heals and shields, this is good to take. But otherwise, Overgrowth sounds the best, or Unflinching if you have a lot of CC on the enemy team. For spells, there are three combinations: Ghost Flash, Flash Teleport, or Ghost Teleport. If you're taking Ghost Flash, you're most likely taking PTA as well. You can also take a Fleet Footwork, but most of the times if you're taking Fleet Footwork, you should take Ghost Teleport. I think that's a really good combination, because that mostly means that you're going to be split pushing. And if you're going to be split pushing, it's because your team fights are probably not going to go well. So Ghost Flash, if you're confident, if you know you can kill, if you know you can get strong, if you know you can 1v9, Ghost Flash is the best one. But if you feel like you're going to be weak, or if you feel like you want to split push this game, if it feels like it's going to be powerful, you can take the Demolish, which is really good. You can take the TDP, be on the opposite side of the objective, so you can match TPs with maybe your mid laner. But I would say that if your mid laner doesn't have TP, don't take it. There's a chance that your enemy top laner has TP and your top laner doesn't. There's this situation now with the quest, but the problem is that teleport in the quest gives you 7-minute cooldown. Meanwhile, using teleport on the summoner spells itself is like the usual cooldown. So try to look, what I would suggest is look at the matchup that you're playing against. For example, if you're playing against the Swain on mid, try to look what they take. For example, here it shows TP, or if I look at World, I see Ghost. I would say look at your rank, because that's the most likely chance you're getting. Like, let's say you're Emerald, let's say you're in EU, check, it says Ghost here, most likely they're taking Ghosts, but they could still take TP. If you're still in doubt, take TP. If you're 100% sure that they're going to take whatever spell that is not TP, then you can take Ghost Flash. The purpose here is for you to not get checkmated, because let's say you're top lane, and your Swain, for example, that has TP is top lane, you don't have TP, he can just TP to Drake that is being done now, and you cannot follow him. So you're being checkmated in that regard. There's also other situations where you're trying to do a Drake, but there is someone pushing top lane, and you have to defend it because they're going to kill your towers. So as soon as you back, they TP to the Drake. So there are these macro situations where you can be in trouble if you don't take TP. Most of the times you're fine. These are rare situations that you can get, but if you feel like that happens to you a lot, you can take Ghost Teleport instead of Ghost Flash. There's also the chance of you taking Teleport Flash, but these are for more experienced Nasus, or the ones that build movement speed outside of Ghost. For example, Phase Rush users, or full movement speed Nasus builds like Deadman's Blade, Force of Nature, or Hullbreaker. For sure, most of the time you're taking Ghost Flash or Ghost Teleport. It really depends on these things. Items-wise, I recommend for sure Doran's Shield 99% of the time. If you're experienced with Nasus and you know what you're doing, you can take Doran's Ring, and 3 points on E could be good. Damage-wise, or to clear waves in order to get some roaming potential maybe, or just to prevent your laners from roaming as well. It can be good, but Doran's Shield is what I take most of the times. I always Q-max against whoever shows up in mid, I don't give a shit. But it's personal preference, you can take Doran's Rig as well. 99% of the times, I recommend Doran's Shield, 100%. Since your goal is having at least 1,000 gold or 900 gold to your back, the first item that you should buy is Sheen. If you're doing okay, if you haven't died, and even if the lane's not going well, but you haven't died, a Sheen is still good. If you have died and you feel like you're in a horrible matchup and it's really hard, you can take either a Spectre Scowl, or you can take a Warden's Mail, depending on the damage type that your mid laner has. You can also take Boots first if it's in a case like a very specific scenario. For example, you have a Kayle mid and you really want to kill her and you really can't, and you want to do Boots first. Even though you don't have Sheen, you have maybe some ganking potential. You can buy Swifties, or for example, if there is a champion like Swain where he grabs you and doubles you and you need the movement speed to get out of that, you could do Mercs before the Sheen. But 99% of the times you're doing Sheen first, so these situations are really rare, but you can keep an eye out, see if these happens to you, and then you can adapt. For the boots themselves, 99% of the times you're taking Lucidity boots. You might need the anti-CC sometimes, like there's a full CC team, you could take Merc Threads, but keep in mind that the boots that you do are going to get upgraded because you're playing mid. So Crimson Lucidity is really good, it's the optimal one for Nasus, but if you really need movement speed, because there's a lot of mobility in the team, you can take Swift Mark. If there's a full AD team, you can take Armored Advance, that's fine. And if there's a lot of CC, Mercury Threads is good. Even though that the Chain List Crushers, the upgrade for Mercury Threads, isn't really that insane. It's pretty much, it feels like nothing happened. It's good against anti-CC, especially if you have the Shard on the Rune, and these boots is a good combination. You get between 35 to 45 tenacity, which is really decent for you to get out of anti-CC situations. And if you have Unflinching, is also a good buff. So for sure, keep that in mind. Your first core item most of the times is going to be Triforce, but you can take Iceborne Gauntlet if you have a full AD team. Iceborne Gauntlet. If you feel like you're going to be useless the game is not going well for you, you could do Iceborne Gauntlet, because as soon as you do that, your main goal is going to be protecting your ADC, and the tankier you are, the better. So Iceborne Gauntlet is good in those situations. Otherwise, Triforce. The second core item, this is subject to change because of this video, but currently, at the time of recording, 27th of January, even after the nerfs of Bendel Pipes, it is still an insane item. Even though it got nerfed by 300 gold, I mean, you need 1 or 2 more waves to farm it, to actually get it, but this is an insanely good item. It's like a mini Jackstraws, it's insanely cheap. You can get free items at like 20 minutes with this. It gives you ability haste, which also helps with Nasus. It gives you a very strong passive, which fixes most of Nasus mobility issues. And if you have Ghost and this, you don't even need movement speed anymore, which was my old build that I was doing before. So Benalpice for sure. I've been taking this every time, second item. I could be way too biased towards this. Some people could recommend against it, but this has been working out for me pretty well. So for sure take it as a second item always. It's really good. Third item, it really depends on the enemy draft. If you have a fairy fed mage, you can do Spirit Visage. If you have a fairy fed AD champion or assassin, you can do Frozen Heart. Or depending if it's like a crit champion, you can do Rendwinds. Or if you need anti-heal for like an Aatrox, you can do Bramble Vest. It really depends on the type of damage that is being the most influential on the enemy team. You can also do Protoplasm Harness, which is really good, but keep in mind that this doesn't protect you against Garen ult, for example, like Sterix does, or against an Evelyn ult, or against a Darius. This is really good if you want to survive in fights, but you're not getting like bursted down. If you're getting bursted down, then Sterix is a really good idea to take for sure, because it gives you that shield that this lifeline doesn't give you, but this lifeline does. But keep in mind that if you do, for example, Triforce, and then Jax shows, and then Sterix, this build can be really expensive, so keep that in mind. Afterwards, it really depends on the type of damage that is being dealt in the enemy team. If there's a lot of armor, I mean, there's a lot of AD damage you can do. Deadman's Plate, you have Rendwinds for anti-crit. If there's like a Yone or a Yasuo, or two people with Infinity Edge, or a lot of Sundered Skies, you can do anti-heal. Do not finish from nil until last item if you're buying anti-heal, okay? Bramble Vest, and that's it. It's not worth finishing it. For items, is pretty much it. These are the items that I recommend. There are some optional items, like for example Hullbreaker that I mentioned before. Hullbreaker is really strong right now, and I've been doing it personally as like my second or third item if I know that I'm going to be split pushing. I take TP, I take Ghost, I take Demolish, I take Hullbreaker. I am doing 3200 damage to the tower, which is insanely strong right now. So for sure give this a try. I don't want to recommend this to the guide yet. It is something that I've been exploring, and it feels really powerful, especially with the Crystalline Demolish. It's all just a mess to the tower that I do. It's a build that I've been trying out, and it's really strong, even on mid. So for sure try this out. It's a good worth to try, for sure. For the in-game, I have a set of rules that you can follow. The first thing that you want to follow is do not attack minions unless that you have a very low health minion that you want to farm on. You're going to stay mostly in this area, and then you see a minion going low, you walk up, you stack, you walk back. That's pretty much how you do it most of the times. With Fleet, this is very amplified because you walk in, you stack, you walk back. That gives you an insane movement speed because of Fleet, and it gives you healing as well. Second, aim for 200 stacks at 10 minutes. This is something that last season someone would have said, wow, okay, that's a lot. But right now, it's insanely easy to get 200 stacks at 10 minutes, especially because the minions spawn earlier. So you stack earlier, and then there's more waves coming in faster. So it's very doable to get 200 stacks in mid by 10 minutes. The higher the better, to be fair. And 300 stacks at 10 minutes is possible, and you can kill legit everyone with your 300 stacks if you have it that early. So keep that in mind. Those are your power spikes. Once you hit 200 stacks, I'm pretty sure you can kill 80% of people. 300 stacks, you can kill everyone for sure. Even try to roam maybe, so you can actually get some kills and get yourself ahead. There's a third rule, which is you do not leave mid no matter what until you have these three things: Sheen, 100 stacks, and your ult available. Why? Because, for example, let's say I'm here stacking normally, right? And then my jungler is getting invaded, and he's asking for help, and bot lane's not going. You cannot go either, because you're Nasus. Remember, you're weak early. There is not much you can do for them. I mean, best thing you can do is walk up for a little bit. I mean, they're here walking up to you, very low health. You can slow the enemy that is ganking, or invading, I mean. And that's it. That's pretty much you can do. You can't really do anything else. So 90% of the times, you're staying in mid no matter what until you get Sheen, 100 stacks, and Fury of Descent. The fourth rule is to not let your jungler gank you until you're level 6, unless they are very experienced and they know exactly what they're doing, and they're positive that they can kill your enemy laner. For example, you're most of the times going to be under your tower until you're level 6, right? and your jungler is pinging, most of the times, if you feel like it's in very early jungle, do not let them go. Just ping them off. Even type in chat to try to stop them, because sometimes they don't listen to your pings, and sometimes they have pings muted. I don't even know. Sometimes they completely ignore you like you don't exist. So pretty much just try to like ping as many times as possible, not let them come in until you're level 6. Again, with your 100 sheen, with your 100 stacks and sheen, just conserve yourself until then. If it's a very strong early game jungler, best you can do is E on the matchup, slow them out, and that's it. Your jump is done. Hopefully they can kill him. If they don't, if they get a flash, good. If they don't, well, it is what it is. You tried your best. There's not much you could have done besides that. The goal in your first 6 levels is to get as much gold as possible. Ideally, the 900 gold that I just got, so you can back off. And if you have to pee, this is really good. You can back off at any time, no matter what the wave state is. You can back off, buy your sheen, which is 900 gold, or buy whatever you want to buy. Keep in mind that if you want a Spectre's Cowl, you will need a little bit more gold, but you can buy the Negatron Cloak, or you can buy the Warden's Mail if you have the money for it. But for sure, most of the time you're buying sheen and then TPing back into lane. Keep in mind that if you have Ghost Flash, you have to pay attention to your wave. See if you can recall, if you're not going to lose two platings, or if you're not going to lose 2 waves for it. Keep in mind that with the Crystalline, you can lose your tower really, really fast on mid, so you keep that in mind with your tempo. Don't fuck it up. The last rule that I want to give is, if you have 100 stacks, you have sheen, you have ult ready, you have ghosts, you have your spells, remember the threat section that I told you about. Keep an eye on it. Most of the times you can kill your opponent if you're 6 with 100 stacks, sheen, and ult, and ghosts. But if there might be some notes that I put there on the threat section that give you some idea. For example, you're not going to go on a Rise unless he has ult down, flash down, or his phase rush down. Some matchups are really hard to fight. But for example, if you have a Veigar and he uses a cage and he's next to your tower, you have to go in. It's an int if you don't go in. You have to. Even against the Veigar, because it's an easier matchup, you can even go if he doesn't have cage, because if you have, for example, Mercs, you can just go for his cage, and your CC time is heavily reduced, and you can chase him down with Ghosts. Worst he can do is flash. It's a win for you if he splashes. It's a win for you if you kill. It's a win almost either way against that situation. So if you don't know, if you're not confident, for sure look in the threat section. If you're confident, then go for it all in. And if it goes well, I'll tell you what happens. If it doesn't go well, I'll also get into that now. If it didn't go well, then you're going to keep playing safe. You're going to keep just farming as much as you can. Try to hit the 400 stacks at 20 mark. And then if you see the opportunity for example, move to a side lane, your mid quest is done, your bot lane quest is done, you can move to bot lane, start farming, start split pushing. Maybe this is where Demolish shines the most and where TP shines the most. So for sure, being useful here, even though that you lost your lane, is really good for your team. If you get ahead, then stop for a second. Look at the enemy team. Look at the draft. Do you see a fat Jinx, for example? Do you see a fat Vayne? Do you see a fat Garen? Do you see a fat Set? A fat Shaco? Focus on those guys in the team fights that you're going to have with your team. Focus more on team fights. Try to split push less. Unless you're for sure can't win fights. Try to focus on those fed champions. Even most of the times it could be ADCs, which is good for you. You're really good to chase down backliners. So especially if you have Flash and Ghost, save your Wither for them. And most of the times, even if they're super fed, you can kill them even if you're down in items, which is pretty good, and that's what makes Nasus broken. If you are split pushing, just try to focus on one lane at a time. This is more macro focused, which is not really much about Nasus, even though that macro is insanely important on Nasus. So if you don't know macro, for sure learn it. Focus on one lane at a time. Bot first, take the platings, take the towers, then go next on top. Then you can focus a little bit on mid. Always play opposite if you have TP. Always play opposite of the objective. So if there's a Drake up, you want to be top lane. If there's a Baron up, you want to be bot lane, as long as you have TP. If you don't have TP, you have to do the opposite. You have to be on the lane where the objective is. This is simple macro, so you don't be on the wrong side when like a Baron spawns. You don't have TP on your bot side. Your team is instantly in a 4v5 situations, and that's horrible. Some late game advisement. There's not really much that I can tell you. It's all about macro from there on, and it's all about team fights. Again, save your Wither for the one that is fed, or the backliner, or the ADC. Think if you're plat or below, Nasus is the strongest champion in the game, but above those ranks, Nasus falls off pretty hard. After the 25-minute mark, it's really hard to win with Nasus on your own. It's hard to 1v9. So the only thing I can advise you is to keep focus on objectives, keep focusing on macro. Elder Dragon and Baron are for sure the game winners here. Keep in mind that this guide is a video. It doesn't get updated every day. Meanwhile, my guide is updated every patch. So if there are changes to this video that are being reflected or that you think are too weird, then for sure check the guide. It's in the description.